I'm Lily Madwhip, mother of monsters. I take Jamal's bicycle without asking and ride back downtown to the library. I don't think Jamal would mind, and besides, he's not really Jamal. I think telling him that would kind of offend him too, and I don't want to offend Jamal, even if he's not real. Who knows how this all works? The real Jamal might feel some sort of ripple of being offended. Roger follows me in his car. At one point, he rolls down the window and grins at me.
Going to get that loser from Roanoke?
He sneers. Sneering is Roger's default expression. Maybe.
Not a bad idea. 2 of you's better than 1, right?
I don't mention that I'm planning on getting Ambrose and me both out of the Vale. Roger would not be keen on that idea. He likes not being stuck in his dead body anymore. Maybe if I leave, he can stay and do whatever it is people do here besides kidnapping children and torturing them. I honestly don't know what the purpose of this place is besides being a wall between life and death. But I guess being a wall is a purpose enough, right? Nobody complains that walls don't also do other things. Roger spots the town liquor store. It's called Benny's Beers, Bullets, and Banjos because they sell alcohol, guns, and musical instruments. I'm not even kidding. That's all they sell. And even if you just want to go in and buy a set of drumsticks, you can't go in without a parent because of the booze and firearms. And I don't think the owner's name is Benny either.
I'm gonna grab some brewskis for the big show,
Roger says, and then veers off with a screech of tires into the liquor store parking lot. If I knew how to control it better, I'd make that stupid store disappear with him in it. Instead, I keep pedaling towards the library. At one point, an ambulance speeds by with its lights and siren on. It spooks me, reminding me of my similar moment from last year that led to a run-in with Felix. I wonder if my subconscious made that ambulance go by just to scare me. After all, sometimes I scare myself for no good reason. I wish I had better control of my subconscious. Sean, the librarian, is standing outside of the library building, just looking in through the windows like someone does when they're window shopping down at the strip mall. He's even got his face pressed up against the glass, just like me when I'm visiting the pet shop. Of course, the last time I visited the pet shop at the mall, all the poor little animals died. But that wasn't my fault. I just don't go visiting the pet shop anymore because of it. It looks like it's dark inside the library. I walk up to him and stand next to him for a while, also looking into the dark library. Why aren't you in the library? I finally ask. Sean screeches and jumps away, clutching his chest.
Geez, Lily, don't do that.
All I did was ask him a question. I think it's a fair question too, since he's a librarian and he's supposed to be inside the library. It's the middle of the day and the library's supposed to be open. He might be a bit confused though, because it was technically going on nightfall about a half an hour ago, but I realized that the library would be closed at night, so I made it daytime. I didn't really think about whether that would muck with anyone's sleep. At least Sean got the memo. Is the library closed or on fire? I ask. It doesn't look like it's on fire. I breathe on the glass and draw a smiley face. Sean puts his hand on his forehead to look in through the glass. There's something weird going on inside, he says. I've already called the police. I look in through the glass too. There's lots of shelves full of books. That's not really weird. I guess the trees that have grown up through the floor and made some of the shelves tip over and spill all their books is weird, though. I don't know. I'm not a tree scientist. Are you growing something? I ask Sean. Sean looks at me like I grew another head. I check. Whew, I have not grown another head.
Trees don't just up and grow overnight. Someone must have broke in and planted them somehow. But I can't figure out how because the door was still locked when I got here and there's no sign of forced entry. I mean, besides this is just impossible. It's impossible. Can I go in? I need to see if Ambrose is still in there.
Last I saw him was at the library, so it seemed like as good a place as any to start looking. Mom always said if you lose something, start with the last place you remember seeing it. I didn't lose Ambrose, I just went home and as far as I know, he stayed at the library. On the other hand, that was a day ago. Maybe 2, now that I made it become day again. I don't really know what day it is anymore.
I wouldn't if I were you,
Sean says, pressing his nose up against the glass real close.
I heard something that sounded like a mountain lion inside. I got out immediately and phoned the cops. Also, you may not have noticed, but there seems to be a forest sprouted up overnight. I don't even know what to make of this. Some sort of colossal prank? I don't know.
Technically, he didn't say no. So I open the door and head inside. Sean immediately starts beating on the window and yelling my name.
Lily, I told you not to go in there!
No, you didn't. He says something else, probably Lily, don't go in there, but the door swings shut behind me and I can't hear him, so it doesn't count. The inside of the library is quiet. I don't hear a mountain lion, but maybe it's in stalk mode and will pounce on me any second. The trees are all crooked and twisted. Not like regular trees, but like trees out of a cartoon brought to life. I half expect them to start throwing apples at me like they did to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Or maybe they just aren't used to being indoors. Some of them even seem like they have faces. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Oh, maybe I'm just imagining things. I tend to do that. I can also hear birds chirping somewhere. Probably building nests out of the book pages or whatever it is birds do. I'm not a bird scientist either. I look back at Sean, who's still thumping on the window, and give him a wave. He doesn't wave back. The further I wander into the library, the less it looks like a library. Grass and roots have torn up through some of the carpeting. There's vines or something hanging down from the ceiling. The cleaning people are going to be so pissed. I stop at the card catalog, which appears to be growing out of the side of one of the trees like a tumor. I open the M drawer and look up Madwhip like I always do, but there's still no books named after me. Yet. Something rustles in the bushes and it reminds me of the other night when Felix was stalking me. There better not be any psycho killers in here, I declare loudly. Sometimes I say that at bedtime in case there's one in my closet who doesn't know he's not wanted. I don't know if that actually drives them away, but it's worked so far, so why stop? The rustling stops. One less psycho killer in the library. Just past the rooms where they have microfish, which are fish so small you have to use a giant projector to look at them apparently, I notice some light coming through the trees. It's not fluorescent light like the flickering lights they have here, that's kind of a barf yellow and makes everything look like old people's skin. No, it's bright sunbeams like the sun makes. Maybe the roof collapsed up ahead. I should be careful. Come to think of it, I should always be careful, really. I step past a pile of books about American history and I'm not standing in the library anymore. Or maybe I am, technically, but it's been changed. There are no walls here. No carpet except grass. I'm outside on the edge of a forest. It's pretty open past here, and I can see what looks like a big campsite surrounded with a wall of long, pointy sticks. Nobody would probably complain about that wall being just a wall. The houses are made out of sticks, just like the first piggy made that the big bad wolf blew down. And people! There's people down here, like, wandering around doing things. Grown-ups in poofy clothes and funny hats laying stuff out on the ground like they never heard of tables. They look like they're performing one of those Shakespeare plays like Romeo and Hamlet. Maybe they're like the actors at the colonial village my parents took Roger and me to once. They had to stay in character, which meant acting like they're from the times when people used cows for all the food needs like milk, butter, cheese, hamburgers, steak, and pork chops. I slip down towards the village quietly. I'm not sure who the people are or where they came from or what they're doing setting up a village in the library. Just as I near the pointy wall of sticks, I notice a little boy picking up rocks just a stone's throw away. The last place you want to be from someone carrying stones is a stone's throw away. There's a field of corn nearby, and I sneak into it, hoping the boy didn't notice me. "Mother," I heard him call. "There's a strange girl in the corn." Okay, so he noticed me. "What girl, Robert?" I peek out and see a lady standing near the boy, who's standing in my direction. From this distance, I can see them both better. And I realize that their faces look weird. They look like people from far away, but up close, their eyes and noses and mouths are all kind of skewed. Like when you take a square and stretch it into a trapezoid. Their skin is a grayish color, and they've got hair that seems to wave on their heads even though there's no wind. Just like the trees, they're like cartoon people made real. The woman spots me. "Oh my," is all she says, but the strange thing is that she sounds just like her son. Her voice is like a little boy's. I get up off the dirt and walk sheepishly out of their corn. I don't know why people call it sheepish. I've seen sheep, and they never seem to be embarrassed or shy about anything. "Hi," I say, waving nervously, unlike a sheep. They stare at me with crooked eyes that have no pupils.
"Oh, it's you."
Ambrose comes over from one of the stick houses, looking weird and dirty as ever. Okay, he looks a little cleaner, just a bit. And he's wearing funny clothes now, like the rest of the people here. Though his seem to fit less comfortably. It's like he cut up a paper bag and drew buttons on it and stuck his head through. I wonder where he left those nice Velcro shoes. "It's me," I agree. "I came to get you. You know, to take you home." Ambrose looks around at the gray people who watch me quietly.
"I am home."
"This is the library," I point out. I turn to the gray people doing their farming stuff. A bird sings as it flies by overhead, and they watch it go past the field and disappear into their forest before turning back to me. "Y'all are living in the library." They shake their heads and go back to their butter churning and cow milking and hamburger making, ignoring me.
"Not anymore,"
Ambrose says.
"You inspired me. After you left, I thought about home, about my family. And I decided to bring everyone I knew back."
I look around at the stick village and the weird Pablo Picasso people. They keep glancing at me, and I can't tell if their expressions are angry or not because their eyebrows don't ever move. There's a lady in a brown dress milking a cow, and at least the cow looks like a normal cow. Well, except it's got one big black circular spot on its back. "Is this what people looked like where you're from?" I ask Ambrose. The question seems to annoy him. He grits his teeth and clenches his fists like I used to do when I was a little kid, and I thought I could hold my breath until Mom bought me that watercolor set from the art store.
"Well, I don't remember what they look like exactly. It's been so long. I looked up some pictures in the books, but..."
Somebody grabs my arm. I turn to face a Picasso man with a scribbled-on mustache. His mouth is just a line in his face.
"You need to leave now."
Ambrose's voice comes out of his mouth. Ambrose's voice coming out of his mouth. It's weird to hear a kid's voice coming out of the mouth of an adult, let alone an adult whose face is all messed up. I pull my arm away. Some of the man's gray skin comes off on my sleeve. I wipe at it quickly and try to get it off, but it just smears. Yuck! I hold my arm out to Ambrose. "Look, see? This isn't real. This is even less real than the world I thought was real, the one through the trees outside the library. This is more like a nightmare. A gray, smudgy nightmare." Ambrose scowls. When he does, all the others scrunch up their faces too.
"Why are you bothering us? You don't need me. Nobody needs me."
"I need you," says the Picasso man in Ambrose's voice. He walks over and puts his hand on Ambrose's shoulder, squeezing it and leaving a smear.
We all need you here. We love you, Ambrose. You know we love you.
Do you hear yourself? I ask. You realize that's you talking to yourself?
No. This is my father.
Ambrose's father nods. I put my hands on my hips and glare at them both. Oh yeah? Then what's his name? What's your name, Mr. Vickers?
My name is Ambrose.
The man tips his hat at me. A bunch of dust falls off the brim and pours into a pile at his feet. See? I say. He's just another you. And look! I point at the pile of dust. He's falling apart! Ambrose crosses his arms defiantly. His eye twitches a little.
My father's name is also Ambrose. And he's been working the fire all day. That's just ash. You don't know what you're talking about. Just leave me here and go away.
There's a thing called reverse psychology. I've seen Bugs Bunny do it, but adults do it too. That's where you tell someone who's being argumentative the opposite of what you want so that they'll argue against it and do the actual thing that you want. My parents have pulled this crap on me way too many times, and the worst part is I fall for it every time. But I've also learned how it works. So I decided to try it on Ambrose. Fine, I don't want to deal with all this craziness. I thought I was doing you a favor. But I'll just tell you I'm going to fight Hecate and get out of the Vale, to the real world. You can just stay here and live in your little imaginary village with your imaginary people. Ambrose explodes. Not literally explodes, but like the angry kind of explosion like Roger used to do when he was alive. I guess he probably still explodes with anger as a dead person, I don't know. Anyway, it's that type of explosion where a person goes from normal to red-faced and their eyes are bugging out a bit and all the words that come out of your mouth are surfing on waves of spit.
Don't call them imaginary!
He shouts at me. A huge flock of birds squawks out of the forest in surprise because he's so loud. The ground shakes too, and several of the gray people, the imaginary gray people, grasp and grab whatever's close by for support. An arm snakes around my neck. Not to insult snakes, but they do tend to go for necks. The arm belongs to Ambrose Sr., who uses it to put me in a chokehold just like my dad's favorite wrestler, Rowdy Roddy Piper. I didn't even think they knew how to do the chokehold back in whenever it was the Ambroses are from. I want to say as much, but I can't speak because his arm is big and he's tightening it around my neck. I try to tap out instead, but Ambrose Sr. apparently doesn't know that one.
My son told you to go.
Mr. Ambrose Vickers says through his teeth in Ambrose Jr.'s voice.
You should have done what he said.
I grab his arm with both hands and try to pull it off my neck, but I can't. The other people in the village move closer, some picking up tools like a hammer and one of those crop thingies that tills soil. I can never remember what they're called. Ambrose watches his father lift me off the ground, so I'm dangling from his arms, fighting to breathe. He looks slightly upset, and I'm not sure if it's at me or at the violence of it all, or if it's just the prospect of having to bury me later. If they dig too deep, they'll probably hit the library basement. Please don't kill me, Ambrose. I wasn't trying to start anything. I came to bring you home. Please make your dad let me go. You can control him. I want to say these things, but I think I'm just going to pass out instead. The ground shakes again, and there's a loud cracking along with it. Like branches snapping, only the branches might be logs instead. More birds fly by overhead in a panic, just black blurs in my vision. I claw again at Ambrose Sr.'s arm, and his gray skin just comes off in my fingernails like I'm digging into a tube of clay. Somebody screams, but since everybody sounds like Ambrose, I can't tell if it's Ambrose screaming or Ambrose or someone else. Other people start shouting, all in Ambrose. It sounds like echoes, like Ambrose was standing by the Grand Canyon and shouting into it. Ambrose's all the way down. The arm around my neck loosens just enough for me to get a big gulp of air.
I feel lightheaded, dizzy, and my neck hurts like I took a soccer ball to it. Somewhere close by, there comes a loud whomp, and I catch a glimpse of something human-sized landing on one of the gray Picasso people. They crumble under it like they're made out of Play-Doh, but it's not over yet. The thing that landed on them raises its arms, and I see that they weren't arms, but wings, covered in feathers. It picks up the person and starts to carry them off. More come thudding down around the camp. Angels! I croak out, pulling frantically on Ambrose Sr.'s arm. Angels must have found their way into the Vale. They finally come to rescue me! But as my vision clears, I see it's not angels after all. Angels, as I imagine them, wear white robes and have arms as well as wings, and they're beautiful. These are dirty, crooked-looking women with wings instead of arms and big bird legs. Not like the Muppet Big Bird, but like the real bird legs. They screech like seagulls and are trying to drag the villagers away. Harpies. The villagers are fighting back with the tools they picked up to use on me. Everybody's yelling. Ambrose looks around confused and frightened, and though I can't see him because he's behind me actively trying to strangle me to death, I imagine Ambrose Sr. is looking much the same. I used the opportunity to pull his arm out just enough to get my mouth on it and bite in. Oh, yuck, he tastes like dirt. Ugh, I feel him tense up, but he doesn't yell in pain or let me go. It just reminds him of what he was doing before the harpies, and he starts pulling back with his arm and squeezing my neck again. I don't want this! I manage to yell at Ambrose before his imaginary dad cuts off my words again. Ambrose looks at me as the harpies and the villagers claw and hammer at each other. For a moment, I think he's just gonna watch me get murdered by his dad. But finally, he speaks. Let her go. Ambrose Sr. does not let me go. I kick my legs back, trying to take his knees out or something, but I'm not very good at fighting backward. Even my harpies aren't very good at fighting, it seems, as I watched one get gouged in the chest with a pointy stick someone pulled up from the bunch around the village. I said, let her go, Father. Ambrose glares past me. Ambrose Sr. does not let me go. Instead, he tightens his grip and clutches his arms with his other hand to really put the squeeze down on my neck. I slap at it weakly. Father! Ambrose yells and points past us. And then off in the distance, I hear a crash from the forest and something massive come barreling out of it. I don't see it because I'm watching the harpies lose to a bunch of farmers, but I hear the thunder of the trees crashing down, and the roar, or whatever it is that's coming down across the fields and straight toward us. It sounds like an elephant made babies with a blue whale and a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I can feel every heavy, lumbering step, and boy are they heavy and lumbering. And fast. It's coming down fast. Whatever it is, it might very well run us all over and leave nothing but pancakes. One of the villagers who just finished stabbing a harpy to death looks up and his weird, uneven eyes bulge out of their sockets. He shouts incoherently. Others look up. One lady crosses herself and falls to her knees in prayer. Ambrose Sr. drops me and turns to look, finally speaking. Mother of God. I lay in the dirt and look up. My throat is raw. My whole face feels like it's pulsing. I can only just see the dump truck-sized gray monster that's charging right toward us. I recognize it instantly. What new demon is this? Ambrose Sr. whispers in Ambrose Jr.'s voice. I cough and hold my neck. It's a pigopotamus, assholes! The Ambroses flee. Not like the bugs, which are spelled F-L-E-A. I got that wrong once on a spelling test. Ambrose Sr. picks up Ambrose Jr. in his arms, one of which is shredded by my fingernails and teeth, and they dash for the other side of the camp. The rest of the villagers run in all directions, some for their pathetic little stick homes, others just willy-nilly, which means all over the place. Some of them lay on the ground and don't run anywhere, victims of the harpies. The pigopotamus opens its mighty jaws, roaring like 100 angry boars, and smashes into the village wall with so much force that the pointy sticks spray out around it like porcupine quills. One of our neighbors had a dog that had a run-in with a porcupine once. It got a load of quills in its face.
I remember being there when they found the dog hiding in the bushes by their front porch, so I saw what it looked like. One of the quills had pierced its eye, and it was leaking eye juice all over the place. Poor doggy. These aren't porcupine quills, though. They're long, stabby wooden stakes. I feel the air of one passing right over my head. If I had been standing up, I'd probably be a lily kebab. Other people aren't so lucky, catching the sharp parts in their sides and backs like dartboards. Even the pigopotamus itself doesn't escape unharmed. It gets about a dozen of the pokey parts stuck in its head and front. That doesn't stop it, or even slow it down, though. The monster has a mission, and that appears to be to trample everything in the area flat. I don't wait around to see if it's got a soft spot for me. I did what I came to do, but Ambrose didn't want any of it. I'm not going to force him to come with me, and I didn't want to terrorize his friends and family or destroy his town. I'm not going to force him to come with me, and I didn't want to terrorize his friends and family or destroy his town. If I get far enough away, maybe the pigopotamus will disappear? I can only hope. The forest is ahead, and it's all uprooted and smashed. Trees are knocked over, roots sticking up like tentacles. I hope there aren't any other beasts about as I run in the direction I remember being the front of the library. Behind me, I hear the awful roar of the pigopotamus. I wonder if it's found Ambrose. I wonder if they'll be safe in one of those stick houses, or if it just has to huff and puff and blow their house down. And I wonder if they knew how to make bricks back in Ambrose's day. Eventually, I trip over a pile of history books. Oh, good! I remember these books! The trees and forest are dark and silent. The lights are barf-colored and fluorescent again. Everything is back to... well, okay, not normal. Nothing is normal. I don't even know what normal is anymore. Sean sees me stumbling past the checkout desk and braves the 5 feet I left behind by coming in and grabbing me by the arm.
Jeez, Lily, are you okay? What happened in there?
I gasp for breath. I can't. He looks at the bruising on my neck.
Did someone attack you?
I wave my hand at him dismissively. You've got a small village in the back, and some harpies, and other things. It's a long story. You might want to find a new job. Sean goes back to the window as I sit on the stone wall that surrounds the library. After a moment, I decide to lie down and rest for a bit. The police never show up. No emergency services arrive. I don't want them to. I just want to lie here and wait for Roger to get back from buying his brewskis. I hope Ono managed to pull off her part of my plan, because I totally bungled mine.
Hey there kids, it's me, Mrcreepypasta, and I just want to make sure that all of you guys are still staying safe and doing your best to stay inside and keep yourself quarantined if you can do so. For those of you who can't, really appreciate you guys doing what you have to do. So, all the best to all of you who are still working, and all the best to all of you who are forced to kind of stay home and are not able to work. If you guys are missing out on a lot of the conventions, which at this point, all of them that I was planning on going to this year, with the exception of San Japan, looks like have been either canceled or pushed back. If you guys were looking forward to any of the conventions this year and are missing out on a lot of the artwork from some of your favorite authors or artists, take a look in the description down below. At least until the quarantine is over, you'll be able to find links to a bunch of my artist friends as well as authors in the description of every video. And of course, I will be bringing you guys stories every single day from now until the end of time, available here on YouTube as well as here on the podcast on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and Google, and wherever else you can get podcasts. And now a very special thank you, big thank you, the biggest thank you I can possibly give to all of you who support on patreon.com/Mrcreepypasta, who help keep the lights on in my house. Patreons such as Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Van Tine-Janzen, Chompski, TheRedOakShieldVirus, Sindee Barney, G. Weevil 3, Diana Kraus, Stephen VanHuss, Tristain Pelton, Nico Kaeo, TheGingerBroz, Dante Rowe, Raphael Rodriguez, Lastbladesong, Eliminator 86, Nebsky, SteampunkSinner, Kaleb Dougal, Daniel Poulsen, Sky Harbor, The Homeless Bird 93, Gabrielle Undefined, Barbie Carmen, Liam Newman, Aaron Stormcrow, Dr. Strawberry, Barbara Masio, Thomas Burgett, Azazel Rotten, Let's Get Scared, S-Man, Brandy Hasanori, and King DDD. Thank you guys so much for supporting on Patreon, as well as all of you that are shown in the description down below. And sweet dreams, everyone.